Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Riverfront. This is episode 551 of the world's most dangerous podcast, where we discuss the Cincinnati Reds and occasionally Larry Bittner. I am your host, Chad Dotson. Joining me this week is Nate. Wait, nope, I'm not. Nope. This is awkward. So, the Dotsons left me in charge this week. I told them it wasn't a good idea, but they did it. So I'm Tim Daniel. You probably know me regularly from Late Night Reds and NBA Happy Hour. And the inmates are running the asylum this week.
I'm back.
And
disembodied hand and what
was good timing.
Better timing of my comment than right there.
That was well queued up. She didn't shut. That was
So
she's not well even done. On the headset.
Joining me this week, filling in for the show, we've got the host of Red Leg Roundtable, Seth Shaner, and Mr. Welcome to the Jungle himself, Joe Farfsing. Gentlemen, thanks for this takeover of the Riverfront with me this evening.
They're not getting it back, and they're going to regret it. They're going to get Wally pipped.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Or can we say Drew Bledsoe at this point?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Of course, this episode is brought to you by our wonderful friends over at SeatGeek. If you have not used SeatGeek before and want to take a little cash off your next purchase, go to riverfront.com. Go to SeatGeek and use the code RiverfrontCincy to get $20 off your first order. And of course, this is not possible without the Blue Wire Podcast Network and the wonderful people at patreon.com/RiverfrontCincy. So guys, I figured this week with me being in charge, and Beetlejuice coming back in theaters tomorrow, Friday, that we had to go back to the 80s and do the all 80s Reds Draft night. So a really fun, weird era of Reds history where there's a ton of really good players and no depth and no playoffs, but some winning records, and it's goofy.
Can we just real quick talk about how awesome it is that Beetlejuice is coming back, like with the original cast?
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of Michael Keaton in makeup, and he looks like he looks fantastic. He looks like Michael Keaton from, when did the original come out? 87. Okay, and he looks the same. I'm not one that gets excited about movies anymore because it's just most of them are just kind of lame. But I'm excited to see this one, and I'm going to see it in the theater. So.
Well, that's why we're recording on Wednesday night. I'm going to the Thursday night show in my home theater. So that's why when they left me in charge, I said I can do it, but I got to do Wednesday. So yeah, we are recording during the Reds' current game against the Astros, where they are up 12-1 in the sixth inning. No one saw that coming.
12-4 now.
4. Oh, like I said, Nick Martinez won my over, and I turned it off because I had to work with you schmucks tonight.
It's a privilege.
Yeah.
Don't. Tim, just wait, man. This is girls or something. There's something.
It's really distracting.
Ellie, you want to say hi to Tim and Seth?
Hi.
Hello.
Really.
What are your hot Reds takes? Give us your biggest Reds opinion right now.
Did you hear this head?
No.
I go, well, let's repeat.
All right. Ellie, we need your hottest Reds take right now. What is your biggest opinion on the baseball team right now?
What do you think?
But I couldn't hear.
I just unplugged this so she can hear too.
All right. I need a hot Reds take to start the show.
Any exciting opinions on the Reds right now?
All right.
Outside of the really bad? You have hiccups. Good night.
Not really bad at this moment. They're up 12-4 on the Astros.
Okay.
They chased Justin Verlander out of the game on Monday and then had an off day on Tuesday. That's a thing these days.
That was weird.
That was weird. And then, Ellie has 2 hits in the first inning tonight, and that's pretty cool. So we don't know what happened Thursday yet, guys. So we'll probably cover that on Late Night Reds this Sunday. Wink, wink.
Hey, how about the Verlander game? And I know how old he is, and it shouldn't surprise me, but man, he made me feel old that night because he's quite a bit younger than I am, and he's showing his age a little bit, although he's still throwing 94, 95. So,
yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting, his comments after the game. he was kind of mentioning that he is kind of admitting that he's kind of at that point, kind of what Joey was talking about before Joey retired, where he's like, I'm just not playoff ready right now, and they probably are going to need him to be. So, all right, so we have got to go ahead and start the show here with a little bit of fan mail before we get to the draft, and we're going to touch on a little bit of the Bengals since I have Joe here. And I have to go ahead and get his thoughts on Jamar Chase practicing today because we just have to keep talking about it. It's a thing. All right.
It's a thing that won't go away until it finally goes away.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, Joe, you said is there anything additional? Did just now sent about the?
I just got the pop up on my phone about the Patreon for view call for view mail.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So we got a couple of questions here. We have a couple in the Slack as well. I'm going to start with Woo. We all know Woo the Reds. His question is, why are the Reds?
Well, you see, Woo, in 1869, that probably take a while. That's too long of a show.
And that's the Atlanta Braves anyway, if we're talking historically. They love it because somebody has to make our lives miserable, and since the Bengals are functional
promising,
they're at least entertaining, and like they have a contending team. All of the crap from the city is now heaped on us from one franchise, as opposed to like being dished out from two different sources.
That's true.
I think that's why.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I would say that's fair. And then I want to make mention. So on my show Sunday, Ben and I had this topic of conversation. I'm curious your guys' thoughts on it as well. I legitimately asked this question of the guys who are currently on the major league roster, not in the minors, not on the IL, legit on the major league roster, currently wearing a Reds uniform in the dugout or on the field. How many of those guys do you currently trust could help this team be successful in 25?
Trust to be actually, the funny thing is I think they've actually added, which I didn't think was possible, to that number, because Espinal has earned my trust.
He's been amazing.
And now I was joking with a friend the other day that what will happen is he's going to play well the rest of the year. They're giving him a 5-year contract and they're going to DFA him by next July. This is just the way things seem to go around here. Because if he would have played this well to start the season, he would have been Brandon Drury'd on out of here at the deadline, right? So I do trust him, though. I think his defense will play at any time, and then he's shown he can hit the ball when you give him a little bit of chance. I'm trying to pull up the roster now, but obviously Ellie. Stevenson has taken a step. That's if we have to find positives about this season, and it's going to be hard, that's one of them. We've got our catcher. And, I trust India to a certain point, but I still don't think
your I trust India was very Ron Burgundy there.
I trust India? June was a long time ago. That's my thoughts on Jonathan India.
Sure. And so I still don't think, and I hate that question now because I remember in 2018, Chad and other folks on this very show saying, well, which one of these guys is on the next great Reds team? And I'm like, never came, my friend. It never came.
True. That's why I said for 25, not for the next great Reds team.
Yeah.
Right. So, but even you're right. So looking at for next year, I think certainly we like Ellie. We certainly think that. And you're saying not on IL.
Right. Because we know Green will contribute. Yeah. There's no worries there. I still trust Lodolo. I think that when he is, Lodolo, he's pretty good. I think he's going to take the next step in 25, kind of what Hunter did this year. Like, I don't know to that extent, but I do think he's going to be very good. Graham Ashcraft, I don't think will be on the Reds next year.
Wow. I still think they could put him in the bullpen.
Do you think he's going to be in Louisville or not tendered?
I think he is going to be probably.
I don't think you're going to get anything traded.
No, he's going to pack. I'm curious what I feel like, and maybe this is just me putting on the tinfoil hat, but I feel like there is a Matt Latos-esque move
Hmm.
this offseason. I don't know who it is, but I think that you can kind of see enough is coming. And I don't know. I understand I'm talking about Bob and Phil here, but I do kind of feel like there's something coming because you can see they're close. You can see they're talented enough to make a step forward. It's just that can they build on the depth? Can they make things happen? And sure, injuries kicked them in the butt this year. We're a family show, so I'm trying to watch my language. But also, yeah, also laziness.
Virgin ears.
Laziness kicked them in the butt this year too, and so I think that maybe they learned their lesson.
Well, and remember when Nate had the locked on guys last week, the truth was told that you could sign Juan Soto and still be at a lower payroll than most of the league.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to try to sign Juan Soto, but there should be moves in the offing. More guys I could trust. I trust Spencer Steer.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we find out either one of two things happened this year. I think he may have been struggling with some sort of injury that was just nagging, didn't get him off the field, but it was just there. I can't say for sure. He batted throughout most of April like a gangbuster. He was ready to go. Yeah. And then his batting average, and I know we don't always talk about that, but that's there. It's hovered around 235 most of the year. So it's either that or it's just the lack of protection around him because we haven't had a full lineup all year. But I trust him. I trust his ability to play positions. I trust ability. And you know who else I trust is TJ Friedl. I know he's not – I mean, he's got 43 RBI. At least he did in the first inning when he knocked in a run. I didn't get to hear or watch the rest until they got to the 12 runs. But he's just a ball player.
Yeah.
And he could be a corner outfielder if you sign that true center fielder, or I mean, worst comes to worst, he could be your fourth outfielder if you have a good enough outfielder. He could be my starting center fielder too.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, as far as position players, that's probably a nail on the head. I think Nick Martinez has proven he's someone that you can rely on. He's made the offseason not look as bad as it has been. Which is not saying much, I'm well aware. But, the Begons and the bullpen currently, I still like Alexis Diaz's talent. I'm not going to get into my whole closer opinion thing here. Don't worry. I know people are sick of hearing that. But I still feel like he is a major league reliever. And then I think maybe a couple guys there. I don't know if I can do another Buck Farmer year, even though his baseball card numbers look
he's been really good. And it's one of those, last year, his stats looked pretty good. But you look at the underlying FIP and XFIP and all that stuff, and he kind of got by with smoke and mirrors, but he's replicated. And actually, those numbers look a lot more in line with his production too. So,
yeah, because his baseball savant page used to go
a lot of blue.
Yeah, it used to be a lot of blue with really good baseball card numbers, is what I was calling it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right for sure. Rex Scott.
Let me ask real quick: is Nick Martinez going to be here next year? He's got a player option.
Oh, that's true. I suspect that he will have a market. I just feel like he's pitched too well, and he's been a guy that you could rely on for multiple roles, whether it's being a starter, whether it's being the guy who has to take the bulk of the innings at a bullpen day. I mean, he's done literally everything for this team this year.
And you wonder how much that wearing on him. Does he appreciate being used all over the place, or would most normal people appreciate having a specific role, whether it's a long guy out of the pen or whether it's back of the rotation guy? That it's got to be difficult to be bouncing back and forth just for your preparation and between game routines and everything. And he's acquitted himself really well. But
I agree.
To be fair, that was his role in San Diego as well. So
true.
He kind of signed knowing that's who I am in the big leagues. I'll give you another one that I might trust on next year's team, and it kind of fell in our lap amidst all the Dominic Smiths of the world and France and all that. But Ahmed Rosario.
He's useful.
He's probably not my everyday guy anywhere, but I'd take. He's only 28.
Makes contact.
Yeah.
And he's hitting over 300 for the season.
Yeah.
So I think if we're talking about building a full roster, give me guys like that instead of hoping a prayer beyond the starting 8 or whatever. Well, even
the Nick Martinis and the Stuart Fairchilds and the
did you see? I think it was the Lookouts Twitter page that they celebrated Bubba Thompson getting promoted to AAA today. He was on the opening day roster, and yet again,
I made that exact comment on Twitter.
I mean,
I'm like,
again, that goes back to the Mike Fords of the world. Like, and again, I say that tongue in cheek somewhat, but we couldn't have Joey Votto. But this, so yeah.
Congratulations to a guy who was on the opening day roster for finally making it out of Double-A. I was floored when I saw the rosters. I'm like, wait, Bubba Thompson's in Double-A? He didn't go straight down to Louisville? And he's been there all year. Like, yeah, he's coming up for the last 2 weeks for the playoff push for the Bats.
And the Lookouts numbers are terrible.
Oh, their record is it was at one point and for most of the season the worst win-loss record in all of affiliated ball. They're a bad team.
But Tim, if we turn it the other way, either we learned the negative or we didn't learn yet. I mean, Will Benson, Blake Dunn.
Yeah.
I mean, there's these guys that, I think you've got to go sign real, actual Major League outfielders.
And the outfield market's not bad this upcoming offseason. There's good
guys.
Enough, serviceable guys that can fit the Reds' needs.
Are you the Tyler O'Neill fan club leader?
Probably. Yeah, probably. Can you imagine that dude hitting homers? He hits homers over the Green Monster. Can you imagine what he does in GABP? So I'm with you there. I think that you probably hit the nail on the head on guys you can trust. Let's get to our good friend, old Rex Scott out there in beautiful Arizona.
Tucson.
Now that the season is in shambles, could each one of you rank and order what you see as the big club's priorities for next season? Please also let us know what could be addressed by the farm system by bringing new players in, or perhaps a combination of both. As far as the farm system, I don't think you're looking at much because I think that we just kind of had that pipeline burst in 23. Yeah. I'm happy to hear Edwin Arroyo is going to play fall ball. If he wasn't, I'd have far more concerns about the shoulder injury. And then, I don't know. I don't see Chase Burns. Chase Burns might be on the big league club next year at the point, like, kind of like Rhett Lauder just did.
Right.
And stuff like that. But I don't think there's a whole lot out there. But I think Seth probably already nailed it. They got to get outfielders. And Stephen Offenbaker, my good friend, says this all the time. Like, they might need to go get 3 outfielders, legitimate 3 outfielders.
Oh, yeah.
They've been relying on platoon bats for far too long. I mean, even back to Winker. Winker was a platoon bat. Like, right, Decades. Exactly. Like, can we get? When was the last actual 500 at bat outfielder? Jay Bruce? It can't be that long, but
Ryan Ludwig, maybe.
He was before Bruce. Yeah. Like, legitimately, I can't think of an outfielder that was an actual legitimate. Like, not just someone who got 500 at bats because everyone else was god awful.
Right.
It has to be Jay Bruce, and that was 2015 when he got traded.
Yeah, because I don't think Shebler did it. I certainly don't think Billy Hamilton did it.
Yeah, I mean, Shebler was a useful platoon player.
Yeah,
but
that's our point of this conversation.
Exactly. Like, that's all the guys coming up are just platoon guys. Like, it's frustrating. Go spend. Yelling into the void here. Spend money and get actual major leaguers instead of partial players that'll sign that you can pick up off the waiver wire.
Hey, would you read the beginning of that question? I struggle with it because it's what should they do? What do we want them to do? What will they do?
Yeah, there's 3 different questions.
Yeah. Can each one of you rank and order what you see as the big club's priorities for next season? Please also let us know which needs can be addressed by the farm system by bringing new players in, or perhaps a combination of both.
Okay, so priority number 1 is increase revenue streams. That's their priority. Like, that's it. That's the end of the team's priorities. Let's just call it how it is.
Pray to God Amazon finally picks up Major League Baseball.
I hope so. I've been trying to keep track, and it's so confusing because not all of the Diamond, the Bally Sports teams are all in the same category. Yeah. And it's like, does this include the Reds? When does this not include the Reds? Just figure something out.
Reds are weird because they part own the network. So they're in a little different place than some of the teams.
And they never sold their streaming rights. They have retained their streaming rights. No one has so I think I'm not sure if it's licensed to Ballad the streaming rights, but they have a weird deal with their specific online streaming stuff that keeps them like kind of a separate category than most of the rest of the teams out there.
Well, one of the only ways I'm still very old school is I like remotes with buttons, with number buttons. And so I still actually have DirecTV, but I do use the stream at times. But I like DVRing things too. So, and I know you can get that on YouTube TV, which actually doesn't have Bally's. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of clutching to my DirecTV remote still a little bit.
I love it, dude. I'm like, I talk about this all the time. I still buy Blu-rays and like 4K, and I still buy video games, physical copies. So I'm with you. Team Physical Media for life. It never dies.
There you go. Well, I haven't bought many movies lately, but I'm the same way. I buy the one with the digital copy, and then
put it on my iPad when I bought a plane,
the shelf, and then I stream it. But
yeah. So to kind of piggyback what Joe's saying, I don't really have an issue with the fact that the Reds strictly own their streaming rights and want to profit on their own. As someone who roots for a college football team who literally gets to own all their rights to their television and doesn't share with a conference, I can't complain about the Reds doing it.
Yeah.
So,
but Joe saying that means that they should be open for business when that when that tunnel becomes open. There's not very many complicated factors with it. So if Amazon wants to start cherry picking individual teams, or if there's a bidding war for such things, and who wouldn't want to have Ellie De La Cruz on their deal every night, then I think actually what Joe's saying is it's the Reds are actually in a good spot there.
Yeah.
So they ought to be able to manifest something from it.
And I'm trying to find, of course, doing well prepared here as always I am, trying to in real time find the actual verbiage or the specificity of it, and I can't find anything off the first dozen links I'm looking here. But I mean, the Reds need to offer their streaming rights out there. Again, I don't have cable. I have to use my mother-in-law's DirecTV login just to watch Reds games on Bally Sports. Sue me for pirating. It's either that or try to find a VPN because I've got MLB.
It's a nightmare just trying to figure out where everything is. Like
exactly.
And of all the leagues that have this figured out, the NFL does.
Yeah.
Of all leagues, MLS they have it figured out. It's you got to pay more money, but they have, you have one spot that has every game.
Well, the nature of the NFL, they kind of backed into that. They've had the same model since the 70s. So, two networks basically doing the lion's share, and then it just kind of fell into the Sunday ticket type stuff over the years. But
the thing with football and pretty much every other sport besides baseball is it's one industry with 32 or 30 different local branches. Baseball is 30 competing independent companies, that just happen to sell the same sprocket or, whatever you want to call it. And that's, they need to get past that. I mean, the fact that we still have blackouts, like the blackout maps. I mean, you can be somewhere in Iowa and not be able to get live or in-network games for Cubs, White Sox, Royals. Like they're like 7 different teams, like Twins, Brewers, Cardinals. And it's like, this doesn't make any sense. Why are we still doing this? Dude, you have the easy ability to put your product out there for everybody who wants to buy your product and watch your product. So quit making it difficult.
The answer is the RSNs gave them so much money over the years that it made it prohibitive for them to put it out to the open market and see if anybody would actually just buy it as far as like consumers. But now that time is ending because cable is ending. So
well,
so
Rex,
now they've got to redo it.
I don't know if we really answered your question very much there.
Probably not.
We went pretty far. I mean, start in the outfield.
So maybe 3 outfielders for sure.
Maybe a starting pitcher, maybe a reliever or 2.
Yeah, I heard Frankie Montas said he wants to end his career in Cincinnati.
That was crazy
four,
when he said that.
4 months really meant a lot to him, obviously.
There's a woman in the crowd right now holding an ice bag on her head while she's holding a ball that must have hit her in the forehead.
I really wish I could hear John Sadek's call on that because he probably nailed
Oh,
it.
it did. It went right off her forehead.
Ooh, no bueno.
Ow.
And then Fraley gave her a ball. Actually, she got 2 balls.
Look at that.
Wow, and an ice bag.
One more than Lance Armstrong has.
Oh my God, Joe. All right, let's get to the other questions here. Sippy Price asks, why do we own the Astros? That's a legit question. We've owned them since
over
they were in
the
the
years.
National League Central, yeah.
Well, and they have won.
Basically,
8.
since Lance Berkman left Houston, we felt pretty good against them, right?
Puma and Roy Oswald absolutely killed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carlos
This will
Lee had a
be-
couple stretches.
This will be 9 games in a row. Reds have swept the last 2 series. I think they won the last. No, this will be 8. They lost the last game in 2016, and then the last 2 series they played them interleague. And like the Astros are really good, and the Reds just somehow play them really, really well.
It's
They
like
got the
Yankees.
Rangers last year too, remember?
Yeah, I was at
Yeah,
the 5-run comeback when they were down like 5-0 in the 8th, and they came back and won.
nice.
I'm sorry, this woman was just showing Fraley her goose egg.
Same, dude. Same. Kyle Kapler asks, will we see Chase Petty this year? I don't think so, strictly
No.
because time's running out.
Yeah, he's still in Double A. I mean,
Yeah.
he's looked really, really good coming down the stretch, which is great to
He
see.
has.
The Reds, all of the Reds pitching prospects just looked like garbage for at least half to 2/3 of the season. I mean, Lauder struggled when he went up to Double A, but turned it around. But yeah, Petty's looked like that guy. And again, he's still really young. He's 20, 21.
Yeah, I think
Oh
Twenty-one.
yeah, he's really young.
Because
Yeah,
he got
he-
drafted out of
he's-
high school by the Twins.
Yeah, he's still a baby. So it's great seeing that guy. He'll probably start next year in Louisville and be in line for a call up midseason or whatever. If he earns it, hopefully it won't be an injury one like this year when they literally have no pitchers, so they're bringing up everybody available. I think Bill Gullickson's about to get called back up to the active roster.
You just tipped
It's a
your hand on the
Preview
I'll
of
say-
the attractions.
Save that for later, Joe. Let's see. So try to get through here. So yeah, Kyle, I don't think we'll see that. Brandon Kamek, who wakes up first this month, the Reds or Green Day? I don't know, but I know Green Day will be playing in October.
True.
And then
I mean, the Reds are awake. They've got 12 runs against the. Are they still leading the West?
Yeah.
I like
okay.
6 games.
Okay, I mean that
That
everyone
shocked
everybody's
Yeah.
fallen off in the West, but
Yeah, that breaks my heart as a huge Julio Rodriguez fan. The fact that he has been not good this year has really.
he struggled.
Yeah, he hasn't been
He'll come
good.
back, but he struggled.
Yeah, because normally he struggles for the first 2 months and then gets going. This year he just never got going. But that's my guy, except when he plays center field against the Reds. That's really annoying.
Apparently.
Yeah. All right, and Kevin Lynch sends one. My guy. He says, "I'm feeling good tonight, so let's be positive. Is in this waste of a year, one of the biggest bright spots to me is Ty Steve.
Mhm.
I feel like it's not talked about because we focus on all the disappointment, reserved a little positivity primarily for Elliott Hunter. But Ty Steve has become one of the best hitting catchers in the league, and by my untrained eye, vastly improved behind the dish. Might be worth upgrading at backup catcher next year to get Ty Steve's bat in the lineup every day by DHing him more." I think I agree with all of that. Realistically, I think that, guys, you heard me forever. I love local Luke, but we saw that his 100 at-bats a year probably aren't worth being on the roster if you can get someone that could probably catch a couple more games and get some more at-bats, and where you can kind of rest Stevenson's knees in this day and age with DH being available for the National League. I'm all for the Reds going to get a backup catcher who can get some ABs. I just don't know who it is, but Luke Maley also, I think, he's under team control for next year too. So,
Yay!
The problem that we've had with Stevenson is when we try to like throw in, hey, we're going to do this where you're going to play first base 2 days and DH 1 day and you'll catch the other days. What they need to do is what they would do with a real starting catcher and have him catch anywhere from 120 to 140 games. And then given how he's doing at the plate and how tired he seems to be or not, you give him days off, you give him a random start at DH here or there, and you play the game that way instead of in spring trading dictating to him that we don't really believe in you to be our 135 to 150 game catcher. So, well, nobody really catches 150 games, but except for Salvador Perez. But
Yeah.
so yeah, they need to approach it like that. Hey, you are our number one catcher, but also there are going to be days when you're not going to play.
Yeah, I think
or
that's fair.
you're going to DH, and it needs to be like that rather than, like that. He talked even on the Jim Day podcast almost, and he didn't really want to admit it too much, but you could tell how much it bothered him that basically Hunter didn't want to throw to him last year, and things like that. And it all started from the top with the dictating when he's going to play and how he's going to play more first base by far and all this other stuff. So I just think he's earned it now. He's our number one catcher, QB1 or whatever they were calling the number one catcher a couple years ago. And that's where we need to go with it. He needs to be the guy. I'm all for a guy that gets maybe 30% of the starts, though, because you need that. Luke Maile probably hasn't played enough, and it's mostly because he hasn't played well.
He's a hell of a pitcher.
Yeah. So Tyler, I just pulled up all catchers this year with at least 80 games caught behind plate. 22 guys. He's third in OPS plus at 121, right behind Salvi at 122 and William Contreras at 125. So yeah, he's hit as well as any relatively full-time or guys in a timeshare as any catcher in all Major League Baseball. And that's I don't know how much. Is this who he is? That would be awesome. Like you need to get somebody who is capable to be the backup and to step in if injury or if this is just a career year. But you'll take it. I mean, this is the best offensive season from a catcher the Reds have had since
Mesoraco's All-Star year.
Mesoraco, yeah, was that 25 or was that 15? 14?
14, I think.
14.
14, yeah.
14, yeah. Since Devin's huge year, so
man, can't believe that was already 11 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was talking about Shin-Soo Choo the other day, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's already been a decade."
Yeah, that was 2013.
Yeah. Donald Lutz and I talked about that year a little bit based on that's when he came up, and I said Choo is one of those guys that was basically top 3, maybe 4, top 2 or 3 1-year Reds. We'll always remember him.
Yeah,
for sure.
And Greg Vaughn and Mike Cameron certainly are right up there.
Yeah.
Ron Gant.
In the same year. Yeah, Ron Gant's right there too.
Yeah, I agree, man. That's
Ryan Lavarnway.
Ryan Lavarnway.
He had that one night, man.
Ricky Karcher.
Ryan Madsen.
Ryan Madsen was on the
don't even say his name.
Disabled list for like 5 years, but pitched in like 5 games.
The sole reason Aroldis Chapman was a closer for the 2012 Reds, which worked out, but man.
Yeah.
Big what if in the world of Reds history. All right.
Yeah. Are we going to ignore Andrew Williams' question? Probably should, but
yeah, we are.
Okay.
We are. I said the inmates were running the asylum. I didn't say those inmates from the asylum. Yeah. It is funny, but if you want to see what
Andrew, I like that question. We'll answer that in the Slack chat.
Yeah, join the Slack chat at patreon.com/riverfrontcincy, and you can see the question there. All right, guys, so let's get to this week's fun draft. Like I said, because the 80s are making a comeback. Michael Keaton was Batman 2 years ago, and he's going to be Beetlejuice this weekend again. We got a Top Gun movie this decade. That was incredible. We just had to bring back the 80s all around, except for Hulk Hogan. He can stay back in the 80s and never be seen again.
Yeah, please, God, just go away.
But I thought this would be a fun thing to do because if you look at the 80s Reds, it is single-handedly the funniest decade of Reds franchise history, in the sense that if you look at the win-losses, there is a lot of pretty good seasons. There's a lot of really guys who had really good years here and there, but there's no depth whatsoever. Let's just kind of go through the things the Reds went through. All right. Tom Seaver's total fall off in 81 from 80, where it's his last really good year. Mario Soto has 3 times he received Cy Young votes. Johnny Bench has I'm going to try like hell Johnny Bench. Pete Rose becomes the manager, and we all know what happens there. Barry Larkin comes up. Eric Davis comes up. Chris Sabo wins Rookie of the Year. And that's it. That's basically the summary of the 80s.
Set the stage for the 90 World Series.
Yep.
Brad the Animal Leslie was prominently involved.
Yeah.
Ron Robinson and his gigantic red fro.
They drafted Barry Larkin twice, so that was something.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just gonna go ahead and try to do a really fun, ridiculous. I don't know the road it's gonna go. I haven't talked to these guys what their strategy is. Yes, it says strategy. But how they're gonna go through this. But we're gonna make this simple. We'll go around the horn in the infield, 2 outfielders, 1 starter, 1 reliever. So I think that's pretty easy to understand. You guys got it right?
Probably.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, unlike Nate Dotson, I'm actually going to have the order here shown. So, for those of you who watch on YouTube, you can see that we're not cheating. And so happen just get the first pick every time. Joe knows what I'm talking about.
He would never do that.
That guy? No way, Jose.
He is all honorable and yeah.
His brother's a judge.
That's
He
true.
was.
That's
Yeah.
true.
He's got a good place to put him too if he ever gets out of line in Virginia.
All right. So while I'm doing this, hey Joe, looks like we got old Jamar Chase back at practice while we're getting this going.
That's exciting to see. I kind of expected it.
I did too.
He's got a press conference. He told media that he's going to talk to them Friday morning, which could that be saying I'm playing, don't have a contract, I'm going to play? Or are they going to pull it what they did with Joe Burrow last year and 6 minutes after kickoff during the Chiefs Thursday night game announce a huge extension? I'm hoping for that. Anything that's it's going to get under their skin, and it's the Ravens, so it's going to get under their skin as well.
Yeah.
There's no way he's missing games. That's costing him money, and that's what this whole thing is about. I hope they can get something found out. I hate the contracts. I hate the situation of how it is. There needs to be a clearer way forward of when you can negotiate with guys, so there aren't these hold-ins like you can only negotiate during this time or you can't negotiate during this time, or if you have reached a certain level of your position, then you can negotiate an extension if you're a first rounder and you've got your 5th-year option. There's so many variables. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be a Bengal for
right. I'm not
most
worried
likely
about
the
it.
rest of his career. I'm tired of hearing about it, and I'm tired of the anxiety. And there's still part, the Bengals as a franchise do not resemble the team from the 90s and the early 2000s, but I'm old enough. Seth's old enough. You're old enough. Like that, it's still that same person is in charge. Those same people are still in charge.
Yeah.
They're not going to fully go away until crap like this, like letting Jesse Bates go, all the, everything that they've gone through with T. Higgins, until those stop happening. And when they just completely comport themselves like a modern NFL football team, instead of kind of haphazardly kind of how they are now, we're still going to think they're going to go back to the SOB, same old Bengals. So,
yeah. Well, I got the screen up. So let's see how we do, guys. 3rd pick, we'll go Snake. So 3rd pick gets 2. Go Seth. 2nd pick goes
of course.
Joe.
Of course.
Hey, you guys are here the witness. Everyone had 1 shot.
I mean, I don't have that screen set up. I don't know. Like, you could just set, okay, automatically put Tim first.
Go to draftpicklottery.com and you can figure it out.
Yeah.
All
what
right.
a manipulator.
So there's no, like, obviously we know like what positions we're getting, but it's open, pick any pick at any point, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're not going to be like this round. We all
This
take
is-
starting pitchers.
Yeah, just
And
okay.
Are we pinpointing the year, or just he had to play in the 80s with the Reds?
Just had to play in the 80s with the Reds.
All right, that keeps.
You could have played a day for the Reds in the 80s for all I care.
Awesome.
That's your
Ricky
fault if you picked
Chartier
that guy.
didn't play in the 80s, so.
No. All right. So I will go, and I'm going to go ahead and knock my ace out. I mentioned him in the opening there. I'm going to take Mario Soto. I felt like, yes, Tom Seaver was great in 1980, but 81 had this huge fall off before he gets traded. And Mario Soto had some rough years in the 80s, don't get me wrong, but most of the time you could count on him to go get you really big innings. 3-time recipient of Cy Young Award votes. Was 2nd one year, I think 5th another. Was awesome. And for those who are older than me, which are these 2 guys and a few others that are on the network, they referred to him as the king of the 1-run loss. So I will go ahead and we'll go with my guy Mario Soto, my first overall pick.
A lot of Dusty Baker Sunday lineups every time Mario Soto pitched.
Probably the best changeup in team history. Also had almost twice the WAR of any other starting pitcher in the 80s, 27 compared to 14 for the next guy on the list. So I was hoping you were going to go offense so I could take him off the board. So since you took him off the board, I am going with Eric the Red. I mean,
I felt like it was one of the, I was
right.
going to go, yeah, it was with him or Soda for me.
So those guys are the obvious two. Like Larkin, obviously was the greatest Red to come out of that era, but he was, he was a kid early on. So Eric Davis's 1986 to 1987 is legendary. Almost in a slightly over 160 game stretch, if selective endpoints and everything like that. But I mean, he almost hit 50 home runs and 100 stolen bases in little over a calendar year. That is crazy pants. Acuna was 40-70 last year. Ohtani's probably going to go 50-50 this year, which is crazy, but then double the stolen bases in a little over a season's time. So
yeah, it's wild.
Well, I wanted Eric Davis, but that's all right. I will take Barry Larkin with the next pick. Hall of Famer, a all-time Red from the day he stepped on the field to the day he retired. He was a Cincinnati Red, and certainly he was the leader in 1990. So I'm going to guess that learning under another guy that we haven't named yet and becoming that leader was huge for establishing the Cincinnati Reds as a World Series champion in our lifetimes, Joe. I just I actually wrote a column for what's that?
I was one.
I actually, I don't know if you guys knew this. I freelanced a little bit for Chad at Red Leg Nation back when he still ran things over there, and I wrote a column about Barry Larkin basically being, kind of like almost like Superman in a way. Superman's amazing, but almost nobody says Superman's their favorite superhero, right? There's so many people out there. It's Spider-Man, it's Batman because of the utility belt and all the things. My kid likes the Flash. He was just so consistent, so good. I went from Eric Davis to Chris Sabo to even like Sean Casey, and certainly Griffey coming back and all those things that Adam Dunn and then Votto. And Barry Larkin, just was never my favorite, but he was always there. Certainly really respect him as a player. So I've got Barry Larkin there. And you said we're doing a wraparound, correct?
That's correct.
Well,
I
know he wasn't at his peak, but we're going Johnny Bench.
All right.
So Johnny Bench, certainly another longtime Red, and if that connection, Bench to Larkin, almost to Votto, is a really cool thing to have as part of our franchise. So
what position are you going bench? Because
do I have to declare it now?
I mean, I guess you don't have to.
Well,
if you really want Bo Diaz later in the draft, I can't stop you.
Well, it's just to be continued. We'll see.
Don't you dare take Bo Diaz for me. I've been making jokes about it. I did fits with my bad personality and sense of humor.
Terrible. But if only they had invented DirecTV.
Exactly. he was the leading advocate for the mini dish.
Yeah. That's awful, and I said it. I'm sorry.
That's twice I've had jokes stolen from me in 2 days. What is going on, guys? I'm concerned. Okay, so with my second pick, I'm going, I don't want to say off the board, but this guy fell out of bed hitting, had the knees of someone twice his age, Kalvosky Daniels. Seth, you probably remember this guy was an absolute, 300 hitter, like a great eye at the plate. Traded, I forget who, I know he was traded to LA, but I can't remember who was I'm looking at it right now. Oh, with Lenny Harris for Mariano Duncan and Tim Leary.
Mariano Duncan paid off a little bit.
Yeah, he was helpful. And Cal Daniels was out of the league at age 28 because his knees, he just couldn't do it anymore. But man, that guy he was an amazing hitter over his Reds career. 149 OPS plus, 913 OPS, 301 300, 400, 500 hitter slash line. That guy was just a great hitter.
Yeah, I've tried to reach out and find him and to have him on Red round table, but he was something else. And the whole story about getting his contract figured out in the parking lot, that was funny too.
That's up there at the Billy Hatcher story when he was going to, his wife was in labor and he got the call that he got traded, but he hung up before he found out he was going to the Reds. So he's like, "Oh, I got traded." He's like, "I don't." She's like, "Where?" He's like, "I don't know."
Other priorities.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go ahead and solidify my pitching, and I'll take my reliever. I'm going to take John Franco.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other funny what ifs is what if they move Dibble instead of Franco? Do we still have the Nasty Boys? Is the conversation the same at that point? But his career ended up okay with the Mets, so don't think anyone could be too upset about that. And then, just for the sake of fun, go ahead and give me old Spuds McKenzie himself, Chris Sabo, the Rookie of the Year.
Nicely done. See, so I've got two outfielders.
You got 2 OFs.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Rob Dibble. I'm going to go with Officer. That guy was bat crap crazy. He had 5.6 wins above replacement in 2 seasons as a relief pitcher. Like that's insanity.
Like Cy Young stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, came up in 1988 and so he only was there from 88 and 89 as a reliever. He had 200 strikeouts in 160 innings, but and back in those days, like that was an insane amount. Like no one had that many strikeouts per 9. The best part was Doug DeCenzo putting a little drag bunt down in Chicago. Dibble fields it and throws the ball at DeCenzo. One of those right up there with Roger Clemens throwing the head of the bat at Mike Piazza. Like what? I don't understand. There's a lot more to this story. But just an absolute loose cannon, throwing the ball into the outfield and hitting a school teacher in the stomach or something with it because he was mad and fired the ball.
Broke her arm.
Oh, okay. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Loose cannon, and I'm here for it. So if you're not going to be good, be entertaining.
I'm here for guys who break arms. Yeah.
I'm here for the entertainment. If you again.
Just like I like when people break arms, but I don't like the UFC. Just throw baseballs at people.
Exactly. There's something more civilized. Real quick, talking about like injuries. So there's something that's being floated about should pitchers automatically get tossed if they hit a batter in the head, whether it's intentional or not. Meant to ask earlier about this. What do you guys think?
Automatically?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think I like it because you don't have to it doesn't happen that often. I mean, how often does someone really get hit in the head? And like these guys are throwing harder and harder. Ben Joyce just threw 105.5 miles an hour yesterday. Wow. Yeah, and that's still behind Chapman. But I mean, guys, the average fastball is like 96 miles an hour. Now somebody's going to get killed.
True.
I'm surprised the pitcher hasn't gotten. Like you see, some of these guys could take comebackers off the head, and I can't believe that no one has actually died on the field yet. And not that I want that to happen, obviously.
I mean, so Chapman was pretty close in spring training that one year.
Oh wow, yeah.
That sounded horrible.
Yeah. Brandon McCarthy, when he was was he with the A's at that time?
I think so.
Okay, and I know he'd been around. He was on the Dodgers and Diamondbacks too. Like he ended up having to have emergency surgery to relieve pressure from getting drilled. So, anything that just kind of deters and guys aren't headhunting as much. There's not as many intentional hit by pitches, but I don't know. Yeah. I wouldn't be averse to it.
Fair. Well, Seth, follow that up for your draft picks.
The light was shining. It's time to go on. Pete Rose, I'll take him because of the moment that we had with 41. Go ahead. It's part of the franchise. So I've got Pete Rose, and you didn't like that. I could have probably waited and taken him at the end. This is going to be a little bit about me. Guys, Pete's going to have to be a first baseman because I think he played in the 80s with the Reds. Danny Jackson.
Oh, nice.
That was my sneaky one that I was going to go with.
So
that's a good one.
Certainly Rio became a hero, but not until 90. He was on the team starting in 88. But Danny Jackson went 23-8 in 1988. And if Earl Hershiser had not broken the consecutive innings scoreless streak of Don Drysdale, another Dodger, that year, Danny Jackson would have won the Cy Young Award. And that was one of my favorite, years watching. Was the first year I got to go to a game. So Danny Jackson was one of my first pitching heroes, and I really enjoyed watching him pitch.
88 was a weird year. You look at the talent that they had on that team with Chris Sale, with
awesome.
Barry Larkin. Yeah, and you look at the talent that the Dodgers had, the team that won the World Series, and you're like, Pete Rose was an awful manager. The Reds had an amazing team, and their pitching wasn't great. I mean, Danny Jackson had a good season. The rest of the guys weren't particularly good. I mean, yeah, Browning threw a perfect game, and I almost watched Ron Robinson throw a perfect game earlier in the year. But like, man, they were better, so much better than the Dodgers, and they weren't that close in the. I forget how many games out they finished, but did you know Sal Butera has had more wins above replacement in the 80s than Pete Rose did for the Reds?
I was good at
Pete Rose 0.3. Sal Butera was 0.5 over 2 years. So
how about that?
Yeah, just had to throw that out there.
Well, he had left by 1980, and
it was 70. Yeah, for 84, 85, 86. So, all right. So I will get the other shortstop out of the way and go Dave Concepcion. Have fun with Kurt Stillwell, Tim.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have a choice at this point.
I mean, the captain before the captain, and just steady, and was still a good player. It was 80 or 81. I forget what he hit a home run in the All-Star game in 80 or 81. I can't remember which, but borderline Hall of Famer-ish player, Gold Glover, and Reds legend.
Yeah, no complaints there. All right, I guess I'll take the last of the machine from the 80s. No, that's not true. The second to last of the machine from the 80s, and I'll take the 1980 All-Star Game MVP, Ken Griffey Sr.
There you go.
I feel like it has to be me to take a Griffey. It's a law here at the Riverfront. And then I will go ahead and take my other outfielder, and I'll take the kicker himself, Paul O'Neill. 89, really good Paul O'Neill year.
Yeah, great season and a great job holding the runner at third.
My all-time favorite thing about Baseball Reference is that he's the only person on there that has what side of he kicks from and on his page.
Hey, so the other one, I think it was 89, because he started the year really well in 89, and the funny thing was I used to get Sporting News, and I didn't have cable back then, and I didn't have daily newspapers at the house, so Sporting News would give you all the box scores from the whole week. Mm-hmm. And then they would have, and Hal McCoy back then wrote the little update, basically. And it was after opening day, and it said, because Paul O'Neill ended up without the second L on the back of his jersey. He has 2 L's in O'Neill. And he played opening day with just one. And the headline, I'll never forget, was L of an opener for Paul O'Neill. So, again, it's one of those stupid things I always will remember. But Paul O'Neill, definitely, you're right. 89 was a good year for him.
Yeah, it was.
Also, the year I was born. Not everything went well.
Right. My wife agrees.
He had some amazing years with he had some good years with the Reds. Man, he put up some numbers with the Yankees.
Most importantly,
he was great.
Most importantly of his Yankees tenure, a fantastic Seinfeld episode.
Yes. My mom actually was visiting New York, and so he actually hit 3 home runs in a game, I think, before that episode aired.
Yeah.
He actually did it for the Yankees. My mom was at the game. They were in New York just said, we'll go to the Yankee game. And Paul O'Neill hits 3 home runs the day my mom's there. So
that's awesome.
All right, so where are we?
You're in the 5th round. So far, you have your outfield.
Okay, so back to okay. I couldn't remember if you took both picks. Okay.
Well, we know what one of them is next round because I need a shortstop. So.
I'll I'm gonna go with Nick Osaski at first base.
Damn it! I had him. That was like super underrated.
He was my first favorite Red.
Dude, so
I don't
underrated.
know. So my birthday is August 12th, and his uniform number was 12, and that right there, as a 4 or 5 year old. I mean, he came up in '83 when I was 2 to 3, but first started watching in '84, '85, '86, whatever. Like, hey, he's number 12. That's my my birthday, and that became my favorite player until Barry Larkin and Eric Davis. So, and he played some third, so I could cover both spots there. But I'll keep him at first base, I guess.
I think you just stole the draft because he was like I kid you not. I was like, literally typed him in the Google sheet for me already.
So,
dude, 85, 108 hits, 61 runs, 21 homers, had a OPS of 797.
He suffered from vertigo, right?
Yeah, that's what ended his career.
Yeah,
because he played like 9 games for the Braves, I think, his last year.
Yeah, in 1990, and he was done at age 30. And I mean, he's got a OPS plus career of 111. I mean, he was a good hitter.
Yeah, really good player.
So you said we're only taking 2 outfielders?
Yeah, 2 outfielders.
So you guys have taken all 4 of your outfielders. So
Yep.
I'm in a bit of a catbird seat. I've got 2 or 3 pretty good ones.
I say you got a nice run here.
I'm gonna go ahead and wait on that. So I need a third baseman because you guys have taken all of them, and I'm gonna keep Johnny Bench at catcher, I guess. So I'll take Buddy Bell.
Okay.
Buddy Bell is my third baseman. And let's see here.
I don't want to draft anymore. Joe took my pick.
Head or heart? Head or heart? I'm gonna go. Actually, I'll go Tom Hume, relief pitcher.
Okay.
He had some really good years before I was following the team, and so I was tempted to take. You guys both took your relievers. I was tempted to take Norm Charlton, but again, it's more for future success that he would have in 1990 and forward. So I will take. Tom Hume.
I like it.
Second base, I don't know why this is still on the board because there really is nothing to choose from. Taking Ron Oster.
Yeah. You got that right.
The local boy. And one of the most egregious, why is this guy in the Reds Hall of Fame of all? But he was a local guy and only pretty much, I mean, he played second base for most of the decade. So not a lot of choices out there, but.
Joe, you said you don't know why he's still on the board, but he's the only one we've taken.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like he's like someone had. There's no other second baseman to take, so someone would have had to have taken him. He hit a 3-run home run on the day I was born, so that's another reason I like him. And my pitcher has to tie in with that as well. So we'll move on. We'll move on from there for you, Tim.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. really appreciate it.
Slim pickings.
Yeah, this is where the draft kind of has a little bit of a fall off, doesn't it? All right, so my 6th round pick, I'm going to take first base. I'm going to take Todd Benzinger. Could rely on him quite a bit. 89, 161 games, 628 at bats, 686 plate appearances, 17 homers, but only a 674 OPS. So this is strictly about your play every day. And then just because there's nothing left, I took Kurt Stillwell at shortstop for my 7th round.
I mean, he had the shortstop job before Larkin. Yeah. So needless to say, the Reds finally made the smart move on that one. But yeah.
Oh my God! Second base is literally hilarious.
It's slim. There's not a lot. You're going with what? Lenny Harris, maybe?
Yeah.
Todd Benzinger over Tony Perez.
Oh yeah.
Production probably.
Yeah, maybe.
You always have Jeff Treadway too.
Shut up, Joe.
He's looking at the same board I am. Third base, Ray Knight.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Did he? In the 80s? Okay.
Yeah, he played in the 80s, 80 and 81 for the Reds. I don't know how many games he actually played.
He tried to knock out Eric Davis in 1986.
Yeah, he was the primary third baseman both years. So yeah, that Reds fans aren't exactly a big fan of him. Especially he was a terrible manager too. But yeah, exactly.
I was there the night he decided he was going to coach third base to rile up the troops. He's the manager. I mean,
He was a goober.
Why the Reds indeed, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is Major League Baseball. You're the manager. Stop it.
They'll sort of did that a bunch too, though.
Well, not in 1990. What, 7 he didn't.
Probably not. Yeah.
All right. So I need my 2 outfielders and I need a second baseman. Is that about right there, Tim?
Yeah.
So I'll take Jeff Treadway.
Okay.
And I will do so because there's not much left, but also my sister Jessica, it was her favorite player. Jeff Treadway was her favorite player. I think. Unless it was Tracy Jones. Whatever. So Jeff Treadway.
Seth has like a hodgepodge of a lineup here. It's kind of funny.
And then my first outfielder, since I still have 2 to choose from, will be Dave Parker.
The Cobra.
Oh, man. That's a good one. I thought about it.
He's a short list of most intimidating looking guys that's ever been, especially when he had the broken jaw or whatever, but he had the hockey mask on. Like that guy was haunting nightmares. It's a shame he spent most of his career in Pittsburgh, but man,
Tell me about it.
what an arm and what a hitter.
I actually behind me here, unfortunately, when I met him, it was after he got diagnosed.
Okay.
And he signed a ball for me, and I still have it, but it's really smeared, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting rid of it, man. It's
of course
Parker.
not.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean, man? Like, he's the man.
Exactly.
He's still so cool. If you ever bump into him, he's still super nice. So yeah, like even though it's smeared, it's still Dave Parker.
Yeah. Let's see. What am I missing? I know I still need a starting pitcher
And catcher.
and a catcher. Oh, that's right. All right, starting pitcher. I'll just get it out of my way. Joe Price, good first name, and winning pitcher on the day I was born. Reds won 3-2 over the San Diego Padres. So a guy named Joe started and won the game, and a Cincinnatian hit the 3-run home run. So it was fate that I had to be like. That's why I'm a Reds fan, because of crap like that. Never mind, I was born and raised here, but
Yeah, there's that whole thing.
yeah.
All right.
So I need to blame somebody or something. So
All right. So my second baseman, if you want to call it that, is from the 1980 Cincinnati Reds, Junior Kennedy.
Junior Kennedy.
And I need a catcher for my 9th pick. And so I guess, do I have a choice?
Satellite.
Oh no.
Joe Nolan, baby. I'm kidding.
Joe, did you take a catcher?
No, I haven't yet. That's my last pick.
All right.
Let's see. I did not prepare for this, as you can tell.
I mean, I can show you share my screen and show you the Reds catchers on StatHead.
It's terrible.
It really is.
Yeah. Because it's like Alex Trevino or Bo Diaz.
Right.
Joe Oliver was a rookie in '89, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Here's the Slim Pickens.
Yeah. F it. Give me Bo Diaz for my catcher.
All right.
Let's say when you build a big league ball club, you want to build the middle, not at the riverfront when you've got Bo Diaz, Junior Kennedy, and Ken Griffey Sr.
Bo Diaz was okay for a few years.
He had a good career, I mean, especially in Philadelphia, and like he was a good catcher. It's just he was older by the time he got to Cincinnati. My catcher, I'm going just for the extra letters in his name, Dan Billardello. If you have an extra N in your first name, then you're for me. So again, it's either that or Jeff Reed. Oh, do you remember? I don't know if you remember Jeff Reed used to have like the lips on his catcher's mitt.
The red thing around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing.
That was wild.
Yeah.
I'm like writing these down on my phone. And when I try to type in Dan Billardello, it said Dan Billardero.
So, that too. My last pick.
This is the last pick of the draft.
The last pick of the draft, and I feel fortunate to get him. George Foster hit 25 home runs in 1980 and he was an all-star for the Reds in 1981. So I'll go George Foster and continue my Big Red Machine theme.
I like it. All right.
Since I couldn't have Eric Davis.
So here are the draft results. We'll start with me. First round, Mario Soto. Second round, John Franco. Third round, Chris Sabo. Then I went Ken Griffey Sr., Paul O'Neill, Todd Benzinger, Kurt Stillwell, Junior Kennedy, and Bo Diaz. That is a
all peaks and valleys, baby.
yeah.
Well, you had some things to say about my team. I'm not sure now. I don't know if I'd be saying those things, Tim.
I wasn't saying yours is a bad thing. I actually think you won the draft. But so Joe goes Eric Davis, Cal Daniels, Rob Dibble, Dave Concepcion, Nick Skaski, jerk, Ron Oster, Ray Knight, Joe Price, and Dan Philardello. And Seth, who probably realistically won the draft, goes Barry Larkin, Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, Danny Jackson, Buddy Bell, Tom Hume, Jeff Chedway, Dave Parker, and George Foster.
Off name recognition alone, yeah, Seth's got the bigger number. What do you have? 3 or 4 Hall of Famers in there?
Yeah,
couple almost Hall of Famers. Pete Rose would be. George Foster is
Dave Parker
his peak. Yeah, Dave Parker and George Foster at their peak were absolute Hall of Famers. Just couldn't sustain it.
Yeah, I have a feeling that when this comes out on Friday, there's going to be someone who asks why we didn't draft Tony Perez.
I asked you why you didn't draft Tony Perez.
Because I didn't have time to look it up, Seth. All right. I have to keep this show under at least an hour 15. We're already over an hour.
Why no Rafael Landis-Stoy or Paul Householder?
Yeah. Or Steve Christmas.
Hey, and you know,
Alan Nicely.
Chad's going to be not mad there were no Wayne Krenchicki.
I know.
I was so tempted to take Wayne Krenchicki for my third baseman, but I figured Chad would ban me from the show forever.
Guys, why did anyone take Skeeter Barnes in his 3 years with the Reds that combined 60 games? Oh, I'm sorry. I oversold that. 52 games.
Yeah.
In 3 years. Corky Miller before Corky Miller. Oh, Seth, that'd be a fun Red Leg Round Table.
Skeeter Barnes?
Well, yeah, but Corky Miller.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm holding out for Dane Sardina.
We all are, Seth. We all are.
I had real hopes that guy was going to be a good catcher.
Regardless of the strange bag of results, that was a lot of fun, guys. So thanks for indulging me on this. I appreciate it.
Absolutely entertaining.
Yeah, you put up the bat signal when we came, so
you did. Good for you. All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to go to wrap up this week's edition of the Riverfront here on the Riverfront Red Show and Blue Wire Podcast Network. Be sure to check out everything we have going on at the Riverfront. Seth just had an excellent Red Leg Roundtable with Donald Lutz that he had to do in the middle of the night, or Donald Lutz in the middle of the night. I don't know. It was one of the two.
A 14-hour difference.
Yeah. Shout out Zoom for taking care of us in these situations, or in this case, StreamYard. So be sure to check that out. Myself on Late Night Reds every Sunday night live with myself and Ben Brown, or Monday if you can't catch the live show. We will be hanging out and doing our thing as always, guys. Be sure to continue to check us out. Patreon.com/Cincy is the place to be, as you know. And if you are checking us out on the YouTube and have not subscribed to us already, please do so right now. So I'm going to do my best Chad Dawson here. Shout outs to Adam Dunn. Shout outs to Lisa Alberto Bonilla. And apologies to Wayne Krenchicki. Have a good night, everybody.